Systems of linear equations. This is week 3 of quarter 4. This is math 8, but this goes into algebra 1, algebra 2 some, and it doesn't go into geometry. Geometry is going to be week 5 through 8, so we're going to talk about systems of linear equations. So if you want to find a solution for a pair of lines, what it's really talking about is where do these two lines meet? That is called a solution. Okay, so if they both cross at this point, that right there is the solution. Okay, so I'm going to show you 3 different types. Oop, there we go. 3 different types of graphs that you're going to come across. And then I'm going to show you how to solve 2 different ways. So in math, there are 3 different solutions for lines. There is something called no solution, infinitely many, which I cannot spell. Infinitely, I know I spell it wrong. Many, which means they have all real numbers the same, and then they have an actual XY coordinate that they crisscross at. Okay, so a no solution, if a pair of lines has no solution, it's going to look something like this. Let's do negative. There we go. Okay, so the first thing to notice is they both have the same slope. Okay, they both have just x and x. It could be 2x and 2x. It could be negative 3/4 and negative 3/4. These numbers, the y-intercept does not matter. What matters is in a no solution set of linear equations is the slopes have to match. So if I had to draw this one out, I would say my slope is right here at 1, and it goes through it right there. So there's my first one, and this is negative 9, and it goes through it right there. Now these are not perfect lines, but what to notice is they are parallel to each other. So a no solution set have the same slope and they are parallel. So they're parallel lines. I like to call them railroad tracks. So you can think of them as railroad tracks or like a road. Okay? Now if it's infinitely many solutions, your equation is going to look like this. So you're going to have 2 different equations, and it might look something like this: x plus 3 and x plus 3. So notice the whole equation for both of them are exactly the same. So if it's infinitely many, that means both equations are the same line. It's just on there twice. So I drew my line twice for you guys. So that means they share all of the points with each other. Now, if there is an actual solution, it has one point where they crisscross, it's going to look different from each other. So y equals 3/4 x plus 2, and then y equals x minus 4. So you have negative 4, just like that, and then you have positive 2 up 3 over 4 up 3 over 4 up 3 over 4, like that, and then they're going to eventually crisscross somewhere up here, and that is your solution at an xy spot. Okay, and so let me put that right there. There we go. Those are the differences between them. No solution, they don't touch. Infinitely many, all the points are touching. And then there is one solution, there is one spot that touches. Okay, so let's clear the canvas and let's see here. So here is an example, okay, of a problem. So we have 3x plus 2y equals 16 and 7x plus y equals 19. So there are several different ways to figure this out. So there's a graphing method, just like we did in the previous thing that I was just showing you. You could actually just go to DESMOS and you could type these in and graph them. Then you have something called the substitution method. And the substitution method is where you solve for a letter. You either solve for x or y, and you get an answer. And then in the second equation, you have your 7x plus y is equal to 19, and you would put what y equals, or no, I'm sorry, no, that's right. Okay, I got really confused for a second. You would put whatever y equals, and you would put that in that y spot. So this is the first equation that I solved for, and I'll show you how to do that. So you have substitution where you put whatever it used to be, whatever y used to be, in there. Then you have the elimination method. Elimination method, which I spelled wrong. It's okay though. This is math, not a spelling class. Where you try to get, let's see here, let me show you. So in the elimination method, the idea is to get one set of these, either the x or the y's, to be exactly the same. So you're not moving anything. But I would get the 2's the same. And again, I'll show you both ways. So I would get the y's the same. So to get y to equal 2y, I would multiply this second set by 2. And then I would subtract them. And that would cancel the 2 y's out. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to show you is the graphing method, and then the substitution, and then elimination. So let me get DESMOS up. Okay, so DESMOS is a great resource if you need something visual. So you type in desmos.com, go to Start Graphing, and this is great if you really want to know, well, what does y equals x mean? And what does it mean if I go to 2x? And then what happens if I want to compare them? How does it change? So that way you can look at it and see, how did it change? Well, y equals x is up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And 2x is up 2 over 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's plug these in and see if they have a point in common, infinitely many solutions, or no solution. So I'm just typing them in exactly as it states. So looking at the graph next to it, it says that it does have a point in common. It says 2, 5. So that was a very simple and easy method. But your teachers are going to want some proof. So I'm going to show you how to do the math. Now, if you wanted to check your math, this is a great resource to check it. Okay, so let me go back, leave. Okay, so the substitution method. So with the substitution method, I'm going to try to solve for a letter. And I can see out of both of these, I can see y is already by itself. So the whole idea of the substitution is to get x and y by themselves. But I first of all have to make one of these by itself. I have to get an x or a y by itself. So my step one, I guess I could say, is take one equation and solve for a variable. And it doesn't matter which variable, but I chose y because it's already by itself. There's no number next to it. So I'm going to grab 7x plus y equals 19, and I'm going to solve using the steps from the previous lesson for y. So I'm going to subtract 7 on both sides, making sure I don't put those numbers together. And I have y equals 19 minus 7x. And you can write 7x, negative 7x, plus 19. You can keep it either way, as long as you remember the negative goes with 7. Okay, so next step, step number 2 is to then plug or substitute that answer. So whatever your variable, your x equals or y equals, into the other equation. Okay, so in the other equation, it said 3x plus 2y equals 16, where I have a y and a y, right? So I'm going to move this down now. There we go. Okay, so if I'm substituting, I'm taking this y out and taking that y out, and I'm going to put in this answer instead of y. So I'm going to rewrite it 3x plus 2 parentheses 19 minus 7x parentheses equals 16. From there, I can now solve for x, and I'll have one answer. Okay, so I know that's just 3x plus, grab your calculator. There it is. Okay, so 2 times 19, 38, minus 2 times 7, which is 14x, equals 16. And then I can put together like terms. There we go. Okay, so I guess we could put step 3 is solve for the variable. Okay, so use the steps to solve for a variable. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's solve for it. So here's my two sides. I'm going to put together my like terms. So I have 3 and a negative 14. So make sure you keep that negative with the 14. So I have 3 minus 14, which is negative 11x plus 38 equals 16. Those go together, and this is by itself now. And now I can continue. So I need to move my 38. It's supposed to be a 3. 38. I need to move this down. There we go. There. Okay. And then those will cross out. Negative 11x is equal to, clear, 16 minus 38, negative 22. And now this is really easy from here because now I'm just dividing by negative 11. and 2 negatives make a positive, and 22 divided 11 is 2. Now that I have my x, what I can do is just plug that in to one of the original equations. So step 4 is plug your answer into one of the equations. See if my pen is going to work for us. Nope. Okay. It keeps going in and out today. So we know it's 2 though. Equations. There we go. Okay. So scroll up. Well, this right here looks like the easiest. Now I said original, but we could also, so let's do it 2 different ways and see if we get the same answer. So we have 7x plus y equals 19, and x is now 2. Okay. So let me move that over to the side here. So we have 7x, oops. Move it over there. Okay. There. Okay. So let's go ahead. 7 times 2 is 14 plus y equals 19. And then we can solve by subtraction. So 19 minus 14, you get 5. Okay, so you can plug it into one of the originals. You can also plug it into the one from step, oops, there we go, from your first step, y equals 19 minus 7x. Okay, I'm going to make another video on the elimination method as well, and then I'll post it.